Hi, everyone. Welcome to Your Virtual Coffee, the web show which introduces you to great local businesses in the Denver metro area. Today, my guest is Chalee Domingos, owner of GetReorganized.com. Her firm offers professional organizing and productivity consulting for solopreneurs, small businesses, and busy professionals. These services include hands-on and virtual coaching and training, lunch and learn talks, and workshops. And with that, welcome to my show.
Yay. Thanks for having me.
Now, Chalee, I like for my audience to kind of get to know my guest on a little personal level. So what is your favorite book?
Yeah. So my favorite book is a children's book, and it's called The Giving Tree. So I think it's a pretty simple, which is kind of ironic about it. It's very clean, simple lines. I don't know if have you read The Giving Tree?
I
Do you know what
have,
I'm talking
but it's
about?
been a while.
Yeah. So it's, I don't know if you don't, somebody doesn't know what it's about, but it's basically just about a boy whose best friend is a tree. And throughout the boy's life, the tree like gives him pieces of himself, basically. So the boy needs to build a house and he like gives him his branches. And then at the very end of the book, the boy is an old man and he just needs a place to sit. And at that point, the tree is a stump. And so, I don't know, it makes me cry. So it's my favorite book. Mm-hmm.
Well, would you share about your own reorganizing story?
Sure. So sort of the catalyst for me being very passionate about organizing or reorganizing stems from a story when I was 19-ish. And I was living in a household with a bunch of people, like most young people do. And a friend of mine introduced me to this book called Clearing Your Clutter with Feng Shui. And the premise of this, it's a really short, small book. But the concept in this book is basically about only keeping, like really assessing what you have in your life and keeping the things that are most valuable to you and letting the things go that are not of high value to you or important to you so that you have this space to receive new things. So if your life is cluttered with a bunch of stuff, then there's not really a place for something new to come in and take its place. So for me, at that age, I don't know, there was something about it that flipped a switch for me. And I took it a little too extreme and I ended up getting rid of pretty much everything in my life. But it triggered this something like it changed my life. It basically led me to like, I ended up moving to Colorado is basically what happened. But we like had a free sale. I ended up giving all of my stuff away. And then all of these like synchronistic, crazy things just like started happening and falling into place. And it sort of like led me to living in Colorado. And so for me, that was just like a really significant life event related to organizing. And then, I mean, that was many, many years ago before I was an organizer. So yeah, so that's my personal experience with reorganizing. And then I have tons of other stories, but that's the catalyst for me.
Well, I know some businesses might think, well, I just need to hire a virtual assistant. Virtual assistant will take care of all this stuff. But what is the difference between what a virtual assistant can offer and what you offer?
Sure. So you mentioned this in the intro, but so I work with professionals, generally solopreneurs, right, where we don't wear many hats, we wear all the hats. And a lot of times when we are juggling so many things and spinning so many plates, we want to offload some of that responsibility and the time consuming components of it to an assistant, which is an intelligent and productive way of thinking, and it can be really helpful. The only thing with working with a virtual assistant is that you never get 100% of your time back. So a lot of times people I work with think they're going to hire an assistant, and that assistant is just going to take all these things off their plate, forgetting that you need to delegate, you need to review with that person. A lot of times you need to teach them and train them how to work in your your CRM, your softwares, your emails. You need to teach them about your business and how it works. And there's a huge investment of time up front into cultivating and coaching this person to assist you that people don't necessarily realize. And a lot of the times, the people that I work with, if you're dysfunctional or disorganized in one of your main areas of your business, like email, on your computer, with your time management, um, and you're just like a disorganized person in general, an assistant has a really hard time helping you, because they're looking to you to tell them what to do and to guide them. Whereas for me, I'm coaching and training you on how to be an effective leader in some ways by being really organized, intentional, and able to prioritize the things that you need to do and be able to effectively offload the things that are lower priority to an assistant and make sure they're able to like hit the ground running quickly when they start working with you. Um, so I don't know if that fully answers the question, but the main difference in working with a virtual assistant working with me is that I'm teaching you how to be more effective and organized and productive with your time. Whereas an assistant, you need to take a lot more time to tell that person what to do and to give them tasks and then to, you know what I mean, train them, review the work they're doing and whatnot. So.
Well, speaking to that solopreneur, small business owner, busy professional, what's an issue that would keep that client up at night? And how does getreorganized.com address that issue?
Yeah, so there's sort of three kind of categories of circumstances that might, quote unquote, keep my client awake at night, whether it literally keeps them awake at night or just figuratively keeps them awake at night. In the literal sense, the clients I've had in the past who are literally like have insomnia, cannot sleep at night, it's usually because everything is in their head. Like all of the to-dos, tasks, commitments, like ideas, projects, all of these things. And they don't capture it, right? Contain it and get it in a place where like they'll literally like wake up in the middle of the night because they just remembered something, right? Or they had an idea about something. And then that leads to like kind of like this rabbit hole of all of these things they need to do. And they don't necessarily know how to capture and contain that, and then how to actually turn those thoughts and ideas into actionable items and how to organize and prioritize them. That's like literally when people are staying up at night. Um, but a lot of the pain points that people are coming to with, the number one is a discomfort with technology. So majority of my clients are disorganized in the digital work environment because it just kind of was thrust upon them and they never fully learned how to use their computer and stay organized in it and how to be effective and productive with their time. Um, and it's just kind of like, it almost feels like in the course of like 10 years, now our entire world is virtual and digital, whereas before that wasn't the case. So there's a lot of anxiety for the clients that I work with about not knowing how to do what's considered basic things on like their computer, for example, like opening a PDF or checking their email. Um, and it's almost like there's some shame around that too, right? Like, so, and they can spend, 10 minutes to like hours trying to figure out how to do something. Um, and so they just need somebody like me who kind of gives them an orientation of that environment and then kind of gives them the skill set to stay organized in that environment. And then other people I work with, it's their physical space, right? So your home office might literally be piles of paper, or you walk into it and it just feels like a nightmare. And therefore they're not really able to move forward in doing what they need to do in their business or like achieving their dreams, because the environment itself is creates anxiety or shame or like sometimes depression for them. Is that too much?
No, it actually made me think of another one.
It's kind of these different areas, you know?
Right. I would think there might be a segment out there
Yeah.
that what keeps them up at night is the fear of dropping the ball for a client, for their client, because of
Yeah.
lack of organization,
Yeah.
lack of using, calendar effectively, or
I think it's a fear of being like left behind also, because a lot of times people are dropping balls and they don't even know they're dropping balls. Like a lot of people I work with in some ways think they're on top of it, but that it's just stressful, but really there's things they're missing and they don't even know they're missing it because it's slipping through cracks they don't even know that they have, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like if somebody has 54,000 emails in their inbox, the likelihood of not seeing something important is really high, and they may never ever know that 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 they didn't see it because there's just so much chaos.
and so let's take that example of that person that has 55,000 emails.
Yeah.
How do you solve that issue for them? What is something tangible someone
They
could
can
take away
do.
from that? Mhm.
So, I mean,
Besides deleting email, but all their
yeah. So,
emails.
well, I don't advise usually on deleting all of those emails. But I mean, in that scenario, somebody is usually working with me for like 3 to 6 weeks to tidy up that environment and create a system for processing moving forward. But I mean, the easiest solution is to and like the first step that I do with most of my clients in the work that I do is I literally take everything out of the actual inbox and put it into an unprocessed email folder in their email. And then we just like start with a clean slate. So what you do is you don't it's ineffective to spend literally days processing 54,000 emails that are expired, junk, unimportant to you. So it's more effective to just like kind of push it to the side for now. And then for me to teach them how to process their email every single day moving forward and create like a new habit.
Let's talk about power partners. And for our audience, power partners are those businesses who target your same ideal client, but are not your competition. One example I like to use is a personal trainer and a hairstylist. They both target a person who likes to look good or is working on improving themselves in one way or another. It's a great relationship to build because that way you can send referrals back and forth. And again, they're not your competition. In fact, they're probably the best source for where your clients come from.
Mhm.
So with that, Chalee, who is getreorganized.com's ideal client?
Ideal client, solopreneur, somebody who works from home. But to me, what a solopreneur is um, somebody who generally is like a 1099 person, right? So is like a salesperson that works for themselves and has to manage their own time. So they don't have an external force generally exerted upon them that kind of dictates how they need to spend their day. Like, you're here from 8 to 5 and you need to do these things in that period of time. And then to be really specific on who I most often work with, it's usually a new entrepreneur. So somebody who is just now starting up their business. So like, for example, I'm working with a woman who's starting a nonprofit. Um, I work with a lot of like attorneys. I work with a lot of real estate agents and brokers. So both commercial and residential agents. And then I'll also work with a lot of like financial advisors. So these are like independent businesses that are usually, it's a one-man shop. One person up to 5 people. So I'll work with solopreneurs and then what I call micro businesses. So someone who has like maybe a couple of different contractors or actual employees working under them, or they might have, be like a 2-person team or something like that.
So I'm thinking for that ideal client, and thank you for that, because that gives me a much better idea of who your power partners could potentially be.
Right.
I'm thinking because if they don't, maybe they're confused about or disorganized about their time, they could be disorganized about their numbers. So I'm thinking an accountant or bookkeeper might be a good power partner for you. I'm
Yeah.
thinking,
So anybody, the best power partner for me is a business coach, like a business coach that they might know a little bit about like how important productivity and time management is. And they're seeing into the person's day to day, like I do, and they can see kind of that somebody like me might be beneficial to helping them. But as a business coach or a consultant, they focus maybe more on like business development, marketing, the business model, the branding, stuff like that. And they're not as, they don't dive as deep as I do into the time management and productivity stuff.
well, it sounds more like external versus internal. You deal a lot more, it sounds like, with the internal. To me, marketing and, those things, branding and all that, that's more external, what goes
Right.
out versus what's inside.
Yeah, and it's kind of more like the creative branding part, whereas I'm more the execution part. Like, okay, here's what we want you to be. Here are all the pieces of the puzzle, and I help them like put it together efficiently, I guess. Like, how do you get it all done?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So for that solopreneur, small business owner, what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
The most direct and effective way is to email me. A lot of people I work with, emails the challenge though. So in that case, usually, the traditional call me, text me, email me. You can also go to my website or any of my social media outlets and learn more about me. But I'm a solopreneur. So if you email me, call me, or text me, like you're speaking directly to me.
Okay. So your email is?
So my email is info@getreorganized.com. Sounds generic, but it goes directly to me.
And if they want to call or text you?
On my website, but my number is 720-299-8245.
Okay. And we'll include this information at the end because I want to make sure that people can reach out to you as many ways as you would feel comfortable with that happening.
Yeah.
Chalee, any last thoughts?
No.
We pretty much covered it.
I think so. Yeah. If you have any questions, you can call me or, yeah.
Definitely. Well, thank you for joining me today on your virtual coffee. I really appreciate it. It's nice catching up. We don't do this often enough.
Yeah.
Audience, thank you for joining us today on your virtual coffee. We could not do this show without you. Thank you for watching, and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is surprisingly called Your Virtual Coffee. On our show, we love business professionals. So business people, let's talk. Thanks and have a great day. Your Virtual Coffee is sponsored by Ventola Law. Ventola Law, mediation and legal representation at an expert level. You can find them at ventolalaw.com. Thanks for joining me today. For more information on Your Virtual Coffee, check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and wait for it, our website at yourvirtualcoffee.com. Thanks again for watching and have an incredible day.